Greetings, fellow snowflakes. So the time has come. It's my 1 week on estrogen update. Yes, I've been 1 week on feminine hormones, estrogen. Actually, I've not had any anti-androgens yet. I haven't had any blockers. I think it's GnRH agonists sort of thing. I've not had any blockers yet because even though the gender clinic gave the go-ahead, the GPs are being a bit kind of like, well, we need to check it out and da-da-da, so I'm sure at some point they'll go, "Oh, okay then," and give me the injection. But I have been on estrogen gel. I've been taking the gel every day, 2 measures a day, every morning for the last week, and I suppose it's time to talk about the changes. There haven't been any physical changes yet, of course, because it's still early days. I wouldn't expect any physical changes this early on. But there have, I suppose, been a number of other kinds of changes. First thing I noticed on day 1 was some weird kind of aches and pains and weird physical sensations in my body, and this has been going on all week. Though it's been getting a bit less the last few days. I was still smoking at first, so I was a bit worried that I was having some kind of risk of blood clots, because that is a risk of estrogen, and obviously that's a risk of smoking as well, so I was a bit worried it was to do with that. I've now given up smoking. This is my 3rd or 4th day on nicotine patches instead of cigarettes. So I don't know if the aches and pains have lessened because I've stopped smoking, or whether it's just that it was just my body getting used to all the changes with all the new hormones, and that's eased off now as my body's adjusted. Who knows? But that was one thing I noticed, that there was just a lot of weird kind of sensations going on in my body, and it wasn't actually that pleasant, but it wasn't too bad. But you know. The other change I noticed almost immediately, certainly by the end of day 1, certainly since then, has been that I've been emotionally a lot more calm. I've suffered from depression all my life. In fact, I didn't realise it was as bad as it was. You know, I just thought, oh, I get depressed sometimes. But my baseline mood always had that sadness, that misery, that depression underneath. Like a gaping chasm of despair that just was always underneath me, like a constant undercurrent of melancholy, of a darkness in my soul. I felt that lift completely. I still, you know, and for the first few days I was pretty much feeling nothing. Not in a bad way, in a good way. I was just like calm. My baseline mood suddenly was calm, you know, perhaps because I've stopped smoking now, so I'm getting some nicotine cravings and stuff. But I've felt a few little pangs of sadness or sensitivity or anxiety now and again. But each time I do, I think, oh, here we go. It was too good to be true. It was a placebo effect from, you know, that I started hormones, because that's what I thought at first. I thought, this must be a placebo effect, you know. So I keep worrying each time I feel a little pang of something, or I'm going to get pulled into a depression again, but it doesn't happen. It just passes again, and then I'm fine. And this is the thing, this is the miracle of this thing. Like I said, I didn't realise I was depressed all the time. I thought I was just depressed sometimes. It was so normal to me that I thought it was normal, you know. To suddenly not have that thing there constantly, that weight on me constantly, that undercurrent of misery constantly every day, it's been miraculous. I really feel positive and confident that I can actually live a full, well-adjusted life now. That I don't have that. I mean, I'm finding energy to do things that before I would have done, but I would have been like all the time. I'm finding energy and motivation to do things. I'm finding that, you know, I can have emotions here or there, and it doesn't need to pull me down. It doesn't need to linger for ages and make me miserable for ages. I can kind of get on top of it and move past it. I can process it and deal with it a lot better. I didn't realise that I was depressed every single day of my life before I took estrogen. It's only since I've taken estrogen and I've just felt that my baseline mood just become calm. Rather than having this quivering, sensitive, self-pitying kind of thing in the background all the time. It's just gone. And it's gone so suddenly that it feels like a miracle. And this is really quite the mind-blowing thing, and like with everything else I've done so far on my gender journey, where I've felt the positive benefits of doing it, and I'm like, I'm never going back. That's it. This is it now. This is another one of those. I need estrogen now every day of my life because wow, I didn't realise I was depressed every day, but clearly I was, because my baseline mood was not calm, was not happy. It was troubled, and it's lifted now, and it's remarkable. And like I say, every time I get a pang of sadness or anxiety, I'm like worried now that it was too good to be true. It was a placebo. I'm gonna it's the old me is gonna return. That self-pitying kind of always on the edge of misery kind of me is gonna return, but it doesn't. And the feeling, whatever it is, passes, and I'm back to the baseline of calm and content. And this is like what convinces me, whatever transphobes say, whatever people say when they're like, doubting transgender reality. It's like, well, this is the reality of my situation. This is the reality of my situation. Body full of testosterone, depressed every day. Body full of, body with more estrogen than I had before, with a reasonable amount of estrogen, and suddenly, I'm not depressed every day anymore. I'm able to exist as a fully functioning human being and not be continually exhausted and continually demotivated and continually just miserable, to be honest. So say what you like about it. There's no arguing with that reality of the situation. Estrogen's good for me. I need it in my body just to be calm and happy and well adjusted. So that's that. And I'm still, in a way, the initial excitement about that, the initial kind of, oh my god, I can't believe I'm not depressed all the time thing, which was a kind of a buzz for the first few days. Initially that's ebbed off a little bit now, but no, but I'm still calm, I'm still content, it's great. And I'm still a little bit blown away by that, how quickly that's happened and how positive it's been. So, wow, I went to a social group that I've only been to once before, so I don't know everyone that well. I'm always a bit socially awkward. I mean, there were new people there as well that I've not met before. I'm always a bit awkward in social situations, but on this occasion I wasn't. I was just completely chilled and relaxed. I wasn't any more talkative than usual, but then we were watching DVDs rather than sitting around talking. But yeah, I was so relaxed and comfortable. I was like, that's not the old me, this is a new me. It's brilliant. So those are two things I noticed. I'm going to also mention another couple of things I've noticed, which I suppose, again, are more on the psychological side. The third thing I've noticed, which is hard to explain, and I really didn't start noticing it till maybe the end of day 2, and from there onwards, day 3, 4, etc. Was, I don't know how to explain it properly, just I feel more present in my body. I feel more connected to my body. I catch myself touching myself, stroking myself. Sounds a bit pervy, but it's not, it's just reassuring, I guess, or comforting, but it just comes from me naturally that I feel connected to my body enough to want to stroke myself a little bit or something. It's a bit weird, but there's that, and then I just feel more. I feel it's subtle. It's still very subtle, and I may be imagining it, but I feel almost like I'm more sensitive, like to what's going on in my body, health-wise, to sensations in my body. Something gets in my eye. I have a shower and water in my eye, and it was a lot more irritating than normal. And it's just like I'm more aware of it, and just little things. Just like I'll notice things in my body that before perhaps I wouldn't have noticed quite as much. I feel like I'm getting a bit more sensitive physically, and I've noticed occasions when I want to touch my nipples, but I think it's too early for that to be a massive thing yet. But I'm feeling, just in subtle ways, I might sort of be imagining, feeling a little more sensitive in my body, and a little more connected to my body, and a little bit more at home in my body, if that makes sense. So it's had that effect. Fourth thing is libido, Now, it's too early really for my libido to have reduced significantly. I still get turned on by the things I got turned on by before, and I'm still able to pleasure myself and enjoy pleasuring myself, and you know, a similar kind of process of reaching orgasm and release that I did before. So it's nothing much has changed in that regard yet. But I have noticed I've noticed less of a physical urgency. It's like now I decide to masturbate. I'm still habitually doing it every day. I guess I'm a little worried that if I don't, I'd still find myself irritated and distracted. But I'm not ready to trust yet that I can leave it for a day or two. But so I've still got the habit of doing that at the moment, but it feels less like there's less of an urgency, less of a requirement. I feel a bit more like I choose to do it. I go, okay, I'll have a wank. But that is my choice to. There feels less of this physical kind of drive, because I already feel. I don't feel like my body is urging me to masturbate. Oh, it's time to masturbate. You've not masturbated for 24 hours nearly, so, you know, like it used to. It used to feel like it was prodding me. My body was prodding me. It's not doing that anymore. There's no real change except that I'm in control of it, which is wonderful, to be honest. And that's it. Those are the only 4 changes I've noticed at all. And some of it may be placebo, may be imagining, because it is very early. I've only been on it 1 week. Obviously no real physical changes, but I wouldn't expect that yet. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes, and I'll catch up with you in a week's time. I'm going to do it weekly until a month has passed, and then do it monthly until 3 months has passed, and then do it quarterly until a year has passed. And then I'll do yearly updates until I don't really feel the need to anymore or something. But that was my 1 week on estrogen update, and I'll see you next week. Well, I'll see you on Tuesday when I'll post a video I've already recorded to post on Tuesday, but then I'll see you for a 2nd week update in a week's time. Thanks for watching.